Hello, everyone. Today I will be interviewing HR Manager Veronica Contreras from Eaton Corporation. She will be introducing herself, giving some background about her position in the company, and answering some questions that we had for her as a team. So, hello, Mrs. Contreras. Thank you for being here today.
Hi, thank you for having me. Hello, everyone. As Marissa mentioned, my name is Veronica Contreras. I'm a human resources manager for a global aerospace company that is Eaton. Our location is located here in Paso Robles, California, and we do oversee other sites, including Mexico, Dominican Republic, and others within the U.S. I have been working for this company now for 10 plus years. Again, like I said, we're located in Paso Robles, California. Our site here locally has roughly around 200 employees. What we do is we concentrate on making conduit back shells for aerospace company and also the government.
Okay, going into the interview questions, we have a few listed here, but we wanted to focus on starting with COVID-19 as it's a big factor in everyone's lives right now. So, our first question is previous to COVID-19, was teleworking an option for your company?
Well, COVID-19 has definitely changed the way businesses function. The various practices have been altered to be able to fit the pandemic situation that we have all globally been living in this past year. Previous to COVID-19, teleworking was not an option. It also was not anything that we considered when we were recruiting for positions. Unless it was something that had to do already with remote work. For example, our sales managers that work 50% from their home office, and 50% of the time they come into any location nearby just to check in and make face-to-face contact with internal customers. Other than that, no, we did not have any teleworking positions. I can say for human resources directly, it would be very difficult for a human resources role to be only done remotely. I can say that for certain situations, human resources, your internal customer really is your everything. You're dealing with employees face to face daily. The requirements and their needs is totally different. It's not anything that's in a book or can easily be handled. Example, if you have a situation with an employee having to do with their work performance, or an employee is having an issue with somebody that they're working with. Those are things that you can't really take care of working remotely. So for human resources, I would say some of it you can do from home, maybe metrics, head count, working on ticket system, which is our HRMS database that we use where we keep our employee files. That kind of stuff could be done remotely, but serving your internal customer, which is critical to the role, you would have to be in the office to be able to take care of those type of situations.
Going a little bit further into that question, for employees that did need to transition to teleworking, were there any significant changes in turnover since they transitioned?
For employees that transition into telework, I do have to say a lot of businesses have changed the way that they handled COVID and also the way that they handle their different roles. I looked back on our metrics and I did find since the beginning of COVID, we have lost 4 people in our accounting department that have affected our turnover. These were longtime employees and they've looked elsewhere for a position and found that because they're an accounting role, they don't directly deal with internal customers. 90% of their work, if not almost all of it, can be done remotely. So our turnover was affected as I looked at our charts and realized, some of our accounting partners have found positions where they can work from home and it's something that fits their lifestyle. So we have been affected a little bit. It's not our whole team, but it does give us a glimpse into what's changing with COVID-19.
What is your experience when it comes to remote positions and using monitoring systems?
So monitoring systems are very, very effective. I'm not sure how much you all know about California law and human resources, but if you were to just do an overall study on the different workforce laws in California, in comparison to other states, we are one of the ones that has the most strict laws, which makes it very useful to have a monitoring system. I'll give you an example. You have exempt employees and you have hourly employees. They're paid differently. An exempt employee does not have to clock in and out. They are paid a salary for their entire year for the quality of job that they do. For example, managers, CEOs, directors, those type of roles. Our hourly employees are the people that have to clock in and out, day in and day out for to report to work, when they leave work, lunches, and in some companies they also require that for breaks. There was a huge issue back about 6 years ago that had to do with companies not giving their employees their 10 to 15-minute break on time or their lunches before a 5-hour working period. So now the laws have changed where you have to clock in and out. So when it comes to remote positions and an hourly employee, you can imagine how difficult that can be when you're trying to comply to the law. So for that reason, my experience with monitoring systems and remote positions for hourly employees, they go hand in hand. Your monitoring system is your partner to make sure that you are paying your hourly employee correctly. They are taking their breaks and their lunches as the law requires or as needed by them as well, which we can also fluctuate there. Anything to accommodate the employee and not hurt the company or the employee is always beneficial. So my experience with remote positions, monitoring systems, they go hand in hand.
What is your position on applying safety guidelines for remote employees?
Safety guidelines for remote employees takes more effort, and there's a lot more outreach because you have remote employees. It's very easy for them to just have their daily duties, tasks that need to get done. And unless safety is on their calendar, it's probably not going to be practiced as well as those employees that report every single day. They see that partnership with the safety manager, the safety committee team every single day, and practices become stronger and stronger over time. So in order for safety guidelines to be beneficial for remote employees, constant communication regarding safety practices has to be one of the most critical things. Safety first. Every company will always tell you safety first. For that to work, there has to be constant communication. You can do this through training. Now we have the benefit of Zoom calls. You can do that. Also, constant communication. You can maintain the dialogue and again create that safe atmosphere even in a remote position.
What's your opinion when it comes to the following in a remote environment? Company culture, routines, and social interaction.
Wow, these are three really good key points. Company culture, as I see it, it's the standard. It's what's set by the business partners, and all those that have their expectations of what their business should be like. It's embedded especially in their code of conduct. Their routines, those are daily established by the department requirements and also by the employee engagement, taking in the roles and responsibilities as well. Social interaction, it's critical. It's critical to bring together the company culture and the social interaction. So I believe all of these three come together very well, but none can work without the other. The company culture basically establishes what the business expects, and the daily routines and social interaction is actually what brings that company culture to life.
What realizations and decisions have you and your company made since the beginning of COVID-19 concerning costs?
This is a really good question. COVID-19, many businesses have hurt. As you have seen in the news, you could sit there for 30 minutes and probably listen to how many local mom and pop businesses have shut down because of COVID-19. And even more so, big global companies are losing a lot of profit, a lot of business, and a lot of customers because of COVID-19. Our company, being an aerospace industry, we were one of the first to get hit by COVID-19. We make products for airplanes. If there is no travel, our airplanes are not going anywhere. Boeing doesn't want our parts. The military doesn't want our parts. Lockheed doesn't want our parts. So many customers what are they going to do with parts if they cannot fly the airplanes? And they're probably not going to be able to continue building on these airplanes anymore. So for us, a lot of realizations that came to mind is we need to think, and we need to think quick, and we need to act even faster. So for us is we realized that we had to cut cost quickly in order for us to prevent losing more employees, losing more customers, and at the same time our business would fail. Being such a large global company, you would think they can stand the chance, but because of the way that our business is based on aerospace, we needed to act quickly. I can state, and I'll share with you, we did have to close one of our facilities because when we looked at it, we thought, okay, if we're going to start cutting costs, let's think strategically. What do we not need anymore? Well, sometimes you don't need overhead costs. We had a site in York, Pennsylvania, where people, which was our sales department, would come to work, clock in, or some were exempt. They would just show up to work and just work from the office. And we realized these employees can work from home. Everything they do can be done remotely. So what we did is we shut down that facility and we had everybody now work from home. So by taking that strategic, quick plan, we were able to save a lot of overhead costs.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really interesting.
You're welcome.
Were there any situations when your company needed to spend more on teleworking accommodations?
Yeah, that's another one. So with COVID-19, the effects of quarantines, as you know, and to lessen the spread and the effect on other employees, we have had to open new roles to remote work. Again, this is not something we've ever done in the past. When we recruit for those employees to come work on site unless they're traveling sales managers, directors, and so forth. So most of the time, all of our workforce works from office. So with COVID-19, we've definitely done our due diligence in trying to accommodate for our workforce so that some more positions than the normal can work from home. As a company, it is our responsibility to prove that we can comply to the requirement and to the standard. Our company took on a challenge by creating at-home workstations, which did add up a little bit of cost. I can say laptops. We were running out of laptops. Definitely I had to add cell phones, internet access for people that lived in rural areas, as well as just a daily office supplies.
Okay, and finally, Mrs. Contreras, do you have any advice for future HR professionals when dealing with unforeseen circumstances as we were in at the start of the pandemic, or just any other general advice that you have for us?
Well, definitely have some advice. HR, I would say, is a beast of its own. It's not just a position where you're rewarded in helping people, but with COVID-19, I've learned there's always something to learn. One of the first things that I joke about this at work all the time, as I say, is our to-do list does not go from top to bottom. Our to-do list goes in a circle. Everything is due now, today, 5 minutes ago. So I definitely do have some advice that I want to share with you future HR professionals. One of them is stay on top of your game. Knowledge is definitely power, okay? And I'm telling you that from my own experience, and I'm telling you that from my heart. Marissa can share with you, I've taken it upon myself to work on how can I improve myself as an HR partner. What can I read up on? What is changing in the law? I always like to stay ahead of it. We're living in 2021 with COVID. So many things are going to change. So let's start getting, a foot forward on that. Let's start looking into what our state individually and other laws around us in other states, if you're looking to work in other states, are going to be changing. Not only COVID-19, but just the daily workforce. Different legal situations make companies change their requirements because they want to comply with the law. So for me, is knowledge is power, and your employer won't always have the time to send you off to a training. Training costs money. It takes you away from being available and on site for your internal customer and even your external customer. So I believe it's our responsibility to be the best seasoned HR partner you can be, to take it upon ourselves to learn as much as we can. It makes you a more reliable partner, and you want to build the best reputation that you can for yourself. Carry yourself the way that you want to be looked at by your partners, how you want to be respected, what you say matters. if you know the answer, maybe you should stop for a minute, take in what everybody is saying, and then provide your input, because then your opinion becomes a lot more valued. Another thing I wanted to share is read up on HR issues that have happened in other companies. I always like to read about this kind of stuff because then you learn about how they handled it, how their HR team, which I feel is the heart of the company, took on that situation, how they made it better, how it became worse, and then you can think about how would you have applied it, and definitely what have you learned from that. You can always learn from other people's choices and mistakes, and reading up on them will always help keep you just a little bit more knowledgeable than the next guy. Also, learn more about what your individual company requires. Learn about their laws, their processes, their practices. Get familiar with the titles, the different roles, not only the HR partners, but just in general, the people that you're going to be working with. It's very critical for you to become a seasoned employee. And more than anything, don't make friends at work. Being in the HR industry can be very difficult, and you never know when that person that you really like is going to be on the other side of the table, and you're going to have to write them up or let them go. So be professional, be knowledgeable, reliable, and always be a very professional, seasoned HR partner. The best of luck to all of you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate all of your input and knowledge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good day.